In this video, I interview a client of agentattraction.io who got paid $44,000 upfront before recruiting or attracting a single agent into his revenue share network at eXp Realty. He's only been licensed for 4 years, he doesn't have a social media following, and he is definitely not a top producer in his city. So for the next hour or so, Nick will share with you the one method that he is using to get paid upfront before attracting a single agent and how you can replicate a success regardless of your background, your years of experience, or even your stats on the MLS. So you definitely do not want to miss this. My name is Jazz, one of the co-founders here at agentattraction.io, and I will see you in the interview. We'll start off with uh, you giving a little bit about your background. How long have you been licensed for? Which company are you licensed with? And just go a little bit into your backstory.
Yeah, so this June of 2025 will be my fourth year. So I started in real estate just with a general I wanted to self-educate on the investment side of things. So wanted to familiarize and get educated on passive income, long-term buy and hold rental properties, got podcast, books, YouTube University. So that was kind of like the start of real estate. Went to college, played college baseball, did not. What I got my degree in has nothing to do with what I'm doing now, health and exercise science. And out of college, got a personal training job. So I was at a higher end, like Diamond Club. So I was doing personal training for some high income earners. And the constant thing that I was hearing at that time too was they all had a, real estate portfolio of one degree or another. So um, from there, COVID hit, and then I got involved. I wanted to get into real estate. I had no thought of being a real estate agent. So I wanted to get into real estate. I started working for a mortgage lender. So it was more business to business, was working with mortgage brokers and loan officers. And then about 6 to 8 months into that, thought about getting my license. So actually, it worked out where someone who was on my team who I sat next to got COVID. So we all got sent home for 2 weeks. The first week I studied for the exam. Second week passed the exam, went back, gave in my 2 week notice, started in real estate full time. So this June will be 4 years since being in the real estate industry. And I am with eXp Realty.
Got it. Okay. So you got started so you've been in the space for 4 years. You're with EXP. So why did you choose EXP Realty out of the dozen other brokerages? Um,
Yeah, good question. So I didn't start with eXp. I actually started with the traditional brokerage, Keller Williams, and liked it. But the primary move was number one because of the passive ability to make income with revenue share. In addition to that, I had some colleagues and friends in the industry who were with eXp, and just being a higher level of collaboration from what I heard from them. Everyone was incentivized in EXP to do well because chances are you're somebody's sponsor, you're financially incentivized for them to do well. It's not this competition that you normally see in a real estate office where you're trying to take over market share. And although you are, there's an element of, hey, if I bring someone on, I'm incentivized by them to do well as well. So I'm going to collaborate with them, help them, coach them, train them. And I've been able to get my business to, I've averaged 102 sales over the last 3 years in my real estate business. So doing north of 100 transactions a year. And the biggest piece for me in that also was like, okay, what's that next level for me? Like, who do I need to put myself around who is either doing bigger and better things or has different options of where to go with that. And so, the collaboration, being around high performing individuals, and then the revenue share portion of it.
got it. Okay. Yeah, we have clients from Keller Williams as well, and I'm aware that they have a profit sharing program. So, I mean, you made the transition from Keller Williams to eXp Realty. How would you sort of compare their profit sharing model with eXp Realty's sort of revenue share model? And what was that sort of moment uh, or that point where you decided that, okay, out of all these other brokerages, I'm picking eXp Realty?
Yeah. So the difference between the two for me was not clear when I joined. So I first got my license with Keller Williams. And it wasn't until like a little later on that I heard profit share was a thing. I understood that you got a portion of the profit. So at the end of the day, how well that office does, you got a portion of the profit for any agent that you brought on. And to be honest with you, I don't remember a single check that I got, even though I had some agents that I had brought to the Keller Williams office. Like it definitely wasn't life changing by any means. And I don't remember a single one. Like I can't even tell you if it was $10, $15, 1,500. I have no idea because it just wasn't substantial. I don't even know if I, got anything from bringing people on. Um, so I mean, the biggest difference is with EXP is that it's revenue share instead of profit share. So you're actually taking a percentage of the revenue,
Mhm.
not just the profit. Much bigger pool there. And I'm actually realizing, I have agents within my downline now, and the goal is obviously to continue to increase that. But it's enough to make, for me where I'm at right now, and a big piece of why I joined was because it's nothing life changing what I'm getting now. It's enough to make my car payment or pay for the groceries for the month, which is great, right? I mean, you make you're able to cover some of your expenses, but that was without any intentional effort. So the biggest thing was like, I actually noticed the paycheck. And then just the difference in what you actually walk away from with revenue share instead of profit share.
Got it. That makes sense. Yeah, yeah, we work with, every any franchise brokerage, boutique brokerage, the traditional brokerages. And even if you take a look at some of the statistics that were posted last year, I mean Berkshire Hathaway lost over $100 million, Compass lost over 150 mil. And I also remember Keller Williams sort of being in the news for cutting back on their profit sharing with some of the agreements that they had, and they got hit with some lawsuits. So I think that sort of correlates with your sort of story. But nonetheless, I mean, you sort of made the transition over to eXp Realty. So when you made the transition over to eXp Realty, well, what I usually hear from agents is that they've seen the residual checks, the commission checks from people in their upline, or maybe people that have spoken on stage. Maybe they've had a personal one-on-one Zoom chat with them. But have you seen some of these, revenue share checks? And was that one of the bigger reasons why you made the switch over to a cloud-based brokerage?
Yeah, I mean, so I've had, like I said, I mean, one of the reasons that I joined was the revenue share and some of the agents that had made the transition or who had already been with EXP. And so I'd been having conversations for a while, and a portion of that was, yeah, was seeing those revenue share checks and seeing what their earnings look like by having anywhere from, people who have 10 all the way up to a couple of thousand, right? And just seeing what that can do for them in the lifestyle that they were living at that time. Some of them, whether it's extravagant lifestyles or whether it's you just have the freedom where they're traveling nonstop with their family. And so for me, that was a big piece, right? I realize again, I close 100 transactions a year, and it's very evident how much of my day that takes. And so for me, one of the biggest motivating factors was, okay, how can I stay within real estate? Because I love real estate. I love helping other agents, but how can I get out of the day-to-day grind of the transaction and still make the income that I would like to, number one, support my family, and then do the things that we want to do and live the life that we want. So yeah, it was huge. That was one of the biggest moving factors for me, was actually seeing those paychecks from revenue share and what people are making on a monthly or annual basis from that.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't want you to name folks, but what was like the biggest monthly residual check that you saw with someone at
Um, Yeah, so someone really close to me, he's actually within my world and he's my sponsor. And without really any without him really doing any intentional outreach, like this is not something that it's not his day job, right? Was selling real estate and then just happening to have conversations. And for him, you're looking at like just under $10,000 a month. And so you quickly start to look at that and say, okay, well, how many conversations do I need to have up front to get there? And then, what is really required if you pass that? Obviously, you're helping people and you're incentivized for them to close deals and do well. but it really pushed the ball forward. One of the biggest paychecks and conversations that I had, and someone who is very well known, and I'll name drop, but he's one of the biggest names within EXP is Brent Gove, and thousands of agents in his downline that he gets revenue share from, and he's making multiple seven figures a month. So having that conversation with somebody who is actually that high up, that experience within EXP, and I mean, he's incredible. If anybody gets the opportunity to talk to him and just be on a call with him for like 15 minutes, his energy is just incredible. But he's making multiple seven figures a month from it.
Yeah, for a lot of people, it's unrealistic until they visually see, those checks and those numbers. So
Yeah.
yeah, and earlier you mentioned that you were doing 100 transactions. I mean, you were averaging about 100 sales per year, and you were sort of capped by how many more deals you can do per year. I mean, everyone only has 24 hours in a day. So, did you ever think about possibly starting a team where you could, bring in more agents and there's more hours to deploy and scaling up that way instead?
Yeah, so that's definitely something that I'm considering and still considering where I'm at now. So I am on a team of about ranging at any point in time from about 45 to 50 agents. And one of the big factors of me joining EXP as well was this team. And this team was brokered by EXP. And they offered me different growth opportunities, coaching and mentorship opportunities. And a part of that is the opportunity to become an expansion partner if I decided, which would be, being a franchise, for lack of better words, of the team that I'm on with my own office and with agents that I would be recruiting and having a team on. So that's definitely something that, I'm thinking on, and the possibility is there of having that option.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, so you joined, I mean, you were doing 100 deals a year. Now you're thinking about starting up your own team. You made the transition to EXP Realty. And before working with us, did you have an existing downline? Did you already have agents in your downline? And you were more so looking to scale? Or were you more so starting from ground zero and from ground zero up?
Yeah, it's basically, I mean, it's not zero, but it's pretty close to, right? And that was one of the biggest reasons why, um, my first thought in all of this was not the digital product and the additional revenue that would come from that. It was the agent attraction. How can I actually attract agents into my downline, have conversations with more agents who need help and would value what I do? And so, although it wasn't zero, very close to zero, I think, at the time, six agents in my downline. So again, nothing game changing enough to pay the car payment for the month, but so that was one of the primary factors of joining you guys.
Got it. And on the topic of agent attraction, I mean, you've been in the industry for 4 years now. Where do you see the industry sort of trending when it comes to agent attraction, revenue share, cloud-based brokerages? Because we've been in the space for a very long time. And I mean, if we take a look at the history, Keller Williams initially pioneered this entire profit sharing model. eXp Realty came in, they took a look at their model, they made their model better. They came up with, revenue share. And now you have brokerages like, Real. And I mean, we work behind the scenes with so many different agents. And every single day we're sort of getting, sneak peek behind, oh, we're thinking about starting a brokerage, or we're thinking about looking at Real's model, looking at, EXP's model and making ours better. So, for the past 4 years and, moving forward, even into 2026, where do you see the industry sort of trending? Do you see the cloud-based model being more so adopted? And how do you sort of feel being behind the scenes with the experience?
Yeah. Yeah, so I can kind of, I see it from two different angles. I see a kind of bird's eye view of what's happening in pretty much, across the market and across the real estate industry. So I can see what's happening. I can pay attention to data and numbers and what's happening, and seeing people shift to cloud-based, and there's more cloud-based brokerages coming out. There's, more traditional brokerages that are either closing down or switching over to cloud-based. And so from a bird's eye view, you can see it. from a boots on the ground view, I can also see it, I feel it, and I hear it. It's very common in conversations with co-op agents and just other agents within the space, whether they, whether it's through social media and just seeing what I do. So they reach out and ask for help. I mean, people are talking about, and the move is cloud-based. And I think, I truly do think that's where it's going. Just as simple as like as real estate agents, most of our day is spent on the road
Mhm.
and not in a brick and mortar office, right? I mean, it's either the home office or you're on the road meeting clients at showings or listing appointments or the coffee shop to talk about the process. And so, I mean, even when I was with Keller Williams recently, you would go into the office and no one is there. So these traditional brokerages are paying for rent, utilities, coffee, kitchen space, whatever it is. And there's just no one there. There's no one utilizing the space. And obviously, their income doesn't come from agents being there. But the argument becomes, is that now needed? Is it necessary? And I think transitioning over to more of like, people who previously felt like they had to open up their own brokerage or have their own team in order to make additional income or gain market share. It's no longer the case with that cloud-based brokerage. With being able to be someone's sponsor and build a downline, you can build what's called a national team, not just in your local market, but agents throughout wherever you want to be, wherever that brokerage is licensed and able to do business. And you have the ability to build a national team where you can grow at scale rather than just in your local market. So that's another big shift that I see, is that freedom is there, and really the scale is much bigger for that.
Yeah, completely agree. The issue with the traditional model is there's a lot of overhead. The income is coming directly through production. I mean if you take a look at last year, we saw the lowest amount of homes sold in the US in the past decade. And listing commissions were at an all-time low. Buyers commission dropped to 1%. So I mean these offices are, having a hard time keeping the lights on with, especially with all these lawsuits and commission changes. So I think it's very important for an agent to diversify their income, and with these cloud-based sort of revenue share models, they're giving agents now an opportunity to do so. And I mean it's because the higher margins that these cloud-based brokerages have, they're able to pay back their agents because they don't have the overhead, because they don't have the high fixed cost. So
Yep.
I mean it's a win-win for both parties.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And National Association of Realtors, NAR, just came out, and the numbers for of as of January 25th, I think it was, and don't quote me on this, but I think the number was 74% of real estate agents did not sell a single home in 2024. So 74% did not sell a single home. Only 2% closed between 11 and 20. And I think it was 0.14% sold 45 homes or more. So you're seeing this massive gap between, I mean, you have 74% of agents who never closed a single home. And then you only have, then there is the 0.14% who's closed 45 or more. And what you're seeing is who you're around, and a lot of that is the brokerage that you're within, the training that you're getting, but also just the people, the producers that you're around. They're either going to pull you down or pull you up. And I mean that's a massive piece of EXP too. I mean EXP in 2024, I'm not sure about 2025 just yet, but 2024, out of all brokerages, sold the most amount of units, right? So you're dealing with top producing real estate agents who are taking over market share. To get yourself into that world and around those people is only going to pull you up.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking to a lot of, EXP agents that are clients, I do know that EXP sometimes tends to get this, bad rep or a lot of backlash for their revenue share. I mean, last year they paid out 220 million in revenue share plus some of their stock options. But at the same time, they also sold the most amount of transactions. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah, and I've heard that too, right? I mean, you usually have, if you start to talk to somebody about EXP, they're either the way it was previously is either they hadn't heard of EXP or they have heard too much about EXP, and you have agents who are only in the recruitment or the agent attraction side of things, not necessarily closing the deals, and because there's that arm of the business, right? So, but now, EXP absolutely has a name within the industry. So it's no longer that I've never heard of EXP, even though we don't have the brick and mortar on the downtown location with, the sign out in front, unless you have a team or you have a branch somewhere. EXP is known, and people are making moves.
Yeah. Yeah, and you'll notice this like with some of the newer cloud-based revenue share models that are coming into the scene, their sort of story and the angle that they're sort of pushing into the market with is, oh, we're not all about recruiting. Like this isn't just about recruiting. We're a production first focused, brokerage. But
Mhm.
I mean, I would disagree. I mean, EXP. I mean, the numbers don't lie. I mean, if they've done the transactions. So,
Yeah.
okay, so let's transition more over to the concept of a digital product because you know, there's a lot of the people that join, cloud-based revenue share models, that people in their upline that are giving them advice, and then they have their own coaches that are giving them advice. They're looking on social media, they're watching reels, and they're getting a lot of conflicting advice from different gurus or members from their upline. So talk to me about the digital product, which is a very unique sort of concept, and tell me how that is sort of helping you and how you're sort of using it. And also talk about the result in terms of the monetary dollar amount that you've sort of been able to achieve with the digital product.
Yeah, so for me, being in the space again, it really wasn't something until again, it goes back to being in the world of EXP where I was around, we have growth partners and growth coaches and talking more, I mean, also about real estate production, but more so about actual wealth building. How do we build a legacy? How do you live the life that you want to live? And it never crossed my mind of the fact like, sure, I realized that the amount of volume that I do production wise is top, right? I mean, it's top tier to close over 100 transactions multiple times, in consecutive years is really good. But I never looked at it as like I had something to share, right? But when I looked on social media, when I went on YouTube, you see everyone doing it, right? I mean, there's a lot of people who are giving their experience, their knowledge, and in the form of a digital product. I had just never thought to do that, right? Until I got around some individuals who were like, Nick, you need to be sharing your story, whether it's on podcast or getting on stages or just sharing it on social media. Still, at that point, I hadn't thought about the digital product until I came across you guys, and it made complete sense. I'm like, why am I not doing something like this, right? And I feel like now, I mean, it's something that I'm personally super excited about is not only to bring agents into EXP and share that world with them, but also share now I have something that I can take to them and say, hey, this is exactly what I do on a day-to-day basis. This is how I've gotten where I am, and here's how I think it would help your business. So it's exciting for me to do that. And again, it wasn't something, and you see some of the bigger agent attraction people out there, the individuals who have transitioned from transactional real estate to being sponsors for potential agents and the agent attraction, but also having digital products, whether it's a $20 ebook or whether it's an actual, 12-month program of actual coaching implementation. And here it is, get after it. So super excited about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, for anyone that is going to be watching this video, they might hear the words digital product. They might sort of somewhat understand what the word digital means, digital equals online. But if you had to explain what a digital product really is to the average agent, to the everyday agent, how would you sort of best describe a digital product? Maybe give me an example, uh, maybe example of your digital product. So, to sort of break down what a digital product really is for the everyday agent.
Yeah, so for me, the digital product again, it's an online source. So for me, the way that I comprehend it or the way that I think about it and still do is you package something together that works or in some type of offering. You put some type of offer that you're going to put out in the marketplace. And in this situation, digitally or on an online source to where you're presenting it and they have the option to do everything for us and with me completely done with you throughout the entire process. So I've taken everything that I've done to get to the business and the transaction that I've done. I've put it together in a package or a product. and then put it online digitally to then sell and help agents get to the position that they want to be. So, I mean, for me, that's like the simplest way that I've kind of looked at it and have been able to break it down. It's just taking what you know, taking your experience, taking your knowledge, taking what's working in the marketplace, putting it together in an offer and giving it to people, as a product.
Yeah, and if you had to break down into tangible items of what builds or creates a digital product, how would you break it down? I mean, for example, I mean, you have an online course area. Uh, I mean, we recommend that our clients host their platform on school, but there's a lot of different platforms like Kajabi, Go High Level. I know Go High Level is very prominent in the real estate space. And then do you have some sort of a community, or are you building a community? Are you working towards building a community? Do you have some sort of
Yeah.
support that you provide maybe on text or a message? What does that look like?
Yep. So for me, I am using the white label. So white label to start, and I am slowly implementing my own modules or trainings, if you will, that I'll enroll and add into that white label as additional training. I'm also using, as you mentioned, I'm using school. So I have a school community as, I kind of explain that as like a mastermind. So it not only houses some of those modules and some of those trainings, but it's also where people are going to share wins. It's also for people to introduce themselves and say where they are working so that it builds a referral source, right? Everybody now within that private community has someone, if they're looking for an agent in Boston or in, Miami or wherever it might be, we now have a small community of agents that we can act as a referral source for one another. The other thing with that is I do offer, so you have the actual product itself, the school community for the mastermind, the referral source, in that I'm also doing weekly coachings. So I also jump on a call with the agents within my program once a week, go over either something that's hot on the market or just what I feel like is going to be, something that moves the ball forward. And then if they can't make it, I record it and I put it on school. So now they have access to that as well. Each individual that comes into my world as well also has their own private Slack channel for all support.
Got
So any questions that they have or anything that they need, any reviewing of drafts that we're going to do, or just answering basic questions, they have a direct source to me and eventually a support team that I will have once hired out, where that Slack channel is theirs for all communication and all support.
Got it. Yeah, so you're hosting a platform on school, and you're doing one weekly group coaching call, and I'm assuming that's being done on Zoom. And how long do these calls typically go on for? Because I know a lot of agents are going to be watching this interview, super busy. Maybe they have real estate investment properties, maybe they're doing rentals, then they have their production, which is likely paying the bills. Uh, I talk to a lot of agents that are also going through divorce for some reason. I don't know if it's like a
Okay.
more common thing in real estate, but people have a lot of stuff that is going on. So how long does the fulfillment to provide value to your agents once they do join a digital product typically take on average?
Yeah. Yeah. So everybody's a little bit different. And I know even within the agent attraction IO community, everybody does things a little bit differently. For me, I'm doing it once a week. It's every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. And it takes me a couple seconds to put together a Google Doc of key points that I want to cover. And I use it mostly as my outline so that I stay on task. I've had some of those coachings that go for 20 to 30 minutes, and I've had some that go for an hour. But I basically cap that at an hour. I would say if I had to, ballpark how much time the coaching call actually is on average, it's probably 30 to 45 minutes.
Got it. So you're spending 30 to 45 minutes and fulfilling all of the agents that are joining your digital product. One thing to keep in mind, I always tell this to agents that a digital product sort of follows a one-to-many model instead of a one-to-one model. So what I mean is, you can service 10 agents, you can also service 100 agents, you can also service 1,000 agents at the same time. There's no capacity in terms of how many people you can have on a Zoom call. So like the school, like the training course, the training videos, I mean, you're of course using the white label, which we already sort of built. But even if you were to go build your own sometime in the future, which we do recommend, you want your face to be attached to it. You want people to listen to your voice. You want people to be consuming your content. You want them to be indulging into your voice, into your face, into your brand. So you are going to build one sometime in the future. But I mean, once you do it, that's a one-time effort. You're only going to build it once. And the community, something that you mentioned that I haven't really thought about is, I mean, there's a big compounding vehicle within the community, if you think about it. Just like how with the downline model at these different cloud-based brokerages, it starts compounding. You could bring two people underneath you. They can each bring two people each. So one turns into two, two turns into four, four turns into like 16. 16 can turn into whatever amount. That's a compounding vehicle. And with the community aspect of a digital product, that is very similar, right? Right? I mean, you could bring in 10 people, they could each tell a person each. Now, all of a sudden, you have 20 people, right? And those are people that are higher likely to convert. You're gonna have a much higher closing rate on them. So that is a big benefit. But I know with the digital product, the whole concept is to lead with value first. That is the whole concept. How would you sort of compare the digital product concept of recruiting to some of the other traditional methods of recruiting? Because I do know, there's still a lot of people that recommend, you need to cold call or you need to put people on an email list. You know, talk to other agents across transactions, take them out to a coffee date. How would you sort of compare the two, and how do you sort of think about that?
Yeah, so I think everything has its place, but I went the route of cold calling. I went the route of trying to, get belly to belly at networking events and really wasn't seeing any success with it, right? And because it is cold outreach. I mean, it is. They don't know you at all. They don't know what you offer. They don't know what you're providing them. You're just reaching out to them, even if it's a co-op agent, right? You're the buyer's agent and you're working with a listing agent. And so you're going to have a cold conversation now about, hey, we've been working this transaction. It's been great. But hey, have you thought about making a move to X, Y, and Z? Have you thought about making this move to EXP? And it just comes off as you asking rather than giving value.
Mhm.
You're just like, hey, have you thought about doing this? And most people now realize that, that these cloud-based brokerages, including EXP, have a revenue share model. And the perception out there is that, well, if anyone reaches out to me about joining, it's only about them. They just want to build their downline and make more income off of it. So you kind of reverse this, you kind of flip the script on it and say, hey, I'm going to provide you value. And if we can't make it work within this value, there's other options for you, right? I can give this digital product to you at a discount or whatever that might look financially, but you're actually giving them something tangible and of value first to say, here's how I can actually help you. And if you're considering making a move, I would love to be your plan B.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. If you think about it, I mean, there was a study posted by Google where they said, in order to, this sort of applies for us too, because we're bringing people into our digital product and we're charging money for it, which we'll be getting into. But Google had posted us a study that, on average, in order to convert someone into your product or service, they need to engage with your company or to the service provider for at least 7 hours. So it takes 7 hours worth of content to get someone to make a buying decision. So if you think about it, if we're looking to get someone to convert into switching brokerages, which is a big decision. It's sort of like if you had to switch a CRM, there's a huge sort of hassle that you have to sort of go through to switch, a CRM. It's very similar for like a brokerage. So with the digital product, what you're able to do is you're able to get those 7 hours on the weekly group coaching calls. I mean, that's going to start adding up in your course area with some of the support that you provide. And then the conversation about joining a brokerage sort of opens up. And that's how I sort of see it, because the 7 hour rule sort of applies. I mean, even if you were to watch someone's content on social media, maybe they're a coach. I mean, I'm sure you would have to follow them around across 4 different platforms and watch their content for at least 7 hours before making that
Yeah.
product or service.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. And I fall into that bucket as well. Like that's kind of how I operate too, is you do your due diligence. You want to see enough of someone to know that you know, like, and trust them and you actually believe in what they're offering. I mean, even for me, right, the switch to EXP, because my transition over to EXP was the the one-off conversations. It was checking in here and there. It was, hey, let's go grab coffee. And it took me, even for me to switch over to EXP, it took me 8 months of the first conversation I had about EXP. Now, what we're doing in this is like, sure, you can do the one-off conversations and check in on somebody's business by a phone call or a text message every once in a while. There's only so much that you can do there. You can't have a conversation about, excuse me, about someone and their business every single day. And so what this does is, like you said, I mean, it combines everything. It combines the organic social media. It includes the ads, so you're constantly in front of them, and then getting into some retargeting. It also involves, like, that's just surface level, and then it's the actual, okay, I'm doing the coaching calls, I'm giving you the modules, you're hearing my voice, you're seeing my training, you're joining the calls, you're seeing my post in the school community that of things that are working for me or things that are helping in the industry. And it's this nonstop, without feeling like it's a cold outreach. It's just value, value, value. And they're getting it all within maybe a couple of days to a week or a couple of weeks, and it's done. Rather than, like, for me, it was that transition took 8 months, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, no one wants to come off as salesy or even, risk the reputation that they spent years building. And a lot of the agents that I talk to, I mean, it's not really just for EXP, but whenever they do bring up the conversation, the other agent just runs the other way. They just turn around and they just sort of run. So yeah, like that's, I mean, the digital product is really the only way to to lead with value first and then to recruit. I mean, and the way we sort of developed this entire concept, and we just took a look at the top agent attractors at the top, cloud-based brokerages. I mean, that's a one common denominator. Sure, some of them have a social media following. Maybe they have a huge track record under their belt. But the digital product is the one common denominator. Now, here's my question to you. So you've done 100 deals, per year on average. For someone that possibly maybe doesn't have the track record that you do, what would your sort of advice be if they're thinking about, building or starting their own digital product? Because I'm sure, some of these folks have some limiting beliefs that, hey, I don't think maybe I can coach. I'm not a top producer. If someone searches me up on the MLS, they're not going to see these crazy stats. What would your sort of advice be to them, and what can they do?
Yeah, so I would say, if you're going to do this and create your own digital product, right? Not going with a white label. Keep in mind that the numbers that we talked about earlier, right? 74% of agents did not close a single deal. So if you even close one deal, you're better than you did more than 74% of the industry last year, right? So people would kill for one deal to get their career up and running, or save the career or whatever it might be, to where they didn't have to go back to their day job, or they didn't have to go back to a side hustle. So that's something to keep in mind. Even if you've closed a deal, you've closed one more deal than 75, I mean, 100% more transactions than 75% of the industry. So you have something to share within that, right? And I think oftentimes, and this goes into pretty much everything in life, when you feel like you have some understanding or some knowledge of things, we feel like we have the same knowledge base as everyone else. And
Mhm.
it's not true, right? I mean, you have the experiences within that. So if you're going to do something on your own, realize that, whether it's 10, 20, 50, 100 deals within a year, you have experience that other agents don't, and you have something that you can actually provide value to them to help them get to, even to your point, right? And then if you're going to go with the white label product, which is something where, it's a made for you, done with you platform. You don't have to have that information ahead of time. And it's something that you can implement right away. As long as you can connect with people and have those conversations, it's something that you can roll out immediately. And again, if you've closed even one deal, you've done 100% more than what 75% of agents have done. And there are agents out there who would kill to get just any information.
Right. Yeah, I mean, what you just touched on is a concept of being one chapter ahead. I mean, for example, if I had like an Airbnb business and maybe I was making an extra 5K a month, I'm sure there's a lot of people that would love to pay me to make an extra 5K a month with an Airbnb business. So that applies to real estate as well. So yeah, I mean, if 74, 75% of agents haven't didn't even close a deal last year, I mean, you're already ahead of more than two-thirds of the entire market, which is crazy to think about. So, so that's in terms of, folks that, may think that maybe they don't have it in themselves. But let's talk more so for the folks that are doing well in real estate and, you know, maybe they're doing dozens of deals a year, they're super busy in production, maybe they already have a team. How can they sort of fit this into their business? Because I'm sure if you think about the digital product concept, it may feel like to some people that, oh, this seems like I'm starting a brand new business. It seems like I'm starting an online business for some reason. So how can people that are sort of in production fit this into their, is this like starting a new business, or is this sort of like opening up another profitable stream of what they're already doing, and just because a lot of the team leaders are already sort of coaching their agents in a way. And I'm sure a lot of agents, some of these top producers, they're already providing advice via DMs. Maybe they helped another agent close their first deal. So what would you say to those folks?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say it's the latter, right? Because I have not changed. I have not added time into my schedule. I have not taken away time with my family by implementing this. All that I have simply done is just take what I do on a day-to-day basis and maybe spent a little bit, like paid a little bit more attention of like, okay, hey, this is something that's like I should be sharing, right? And it's just implementing what you're doing on a normal basis to do that 30-minute to 45-minute coaching call, or to put it into a module. And instead of, sitting at your computer and thinking through things or having a phone conversation with somebody, for me, it's okay, I'm now going to record this conversation where I'm helping another agent or I'm sitting on a coaching call that I already do. I'm just going to put my phone on a tripod. I'm filming the entire thing. I'm breaking it down and I'm putting it on my social media as another avenue of just free organic outreach to help other agents. So I'm just taking what I do on a normal basis, which is closing transactions, the day to day of that, having conversations with buyers and sellers, keying in on, or honing in on key points of those conversations, but then also the conversations I'm having with other agents. And I'm just maybe making an intentional effort to record it or remember what I said so that I can implement it into this business.
Yeah, I mean, you're sort of implementing one of the four uh, forms of leverage. I mean, you have code, that's when we sort of had the dot-com boom. We had labor. I mean, that's like sort of building a team. And then you have capital. This is where you can start investing into, real estate. You get other people's capital, put that together. It's sort of what Grant Cardone is doing. But what you talked about is content. I mean, you're already going about your day, you're producing, and now you're finding different ways to sort of record yourself sort of doing it. That would sort of be me like having 2 to 3 cameras just recording myself right now, talking to you. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of golden nuggets that we could sort of clip out and sort of post on social media. So now here's the thing. There's a lot of people that we also talk to that think that, when they do take a look at some of the top agent attractors, some of them are quite big on Instagram. Maybe they have a nice flashy car. Maybe they have a Lambo that they're somewhat flexing. And they may feel like they don't have those materialistic things to get people to listen, because you do need to give people a reason to listen to you. Now that can come in the form of uh, your stats, and you can also just show them, right? This is sort of the life that I'm living. So for people that think, I need some sort of a social media following, or, I need to have a nice car, what would you sort of say to them?
Yeah, so I guess we can go into some of the numbers here too and just share what I've experienced within, just under a month of actually rolling with you guys. I personally, so I have just under, or I have just over 2,000 followers on Instagram. I do not have a big following by any means, right? I mean, I have just over 2,000 followers. Before I started this, it was in the 1,000 range. So I've actually gained some since then, which is nice. But I'm just over 2,000, like 2,050, like just over. And to date, I within my first 22 days of rolling with the digital product and actually running ads, I made revenue of about 43 or $44,000. 22 days of running ads, 43 or $44,000 in revenue, less than 2,000 followers on Instagram when I had it. So no, arguably no social media presence, even though I have, I make an effort to be on social media and to talk to both buyers and sellers, but also to agents now, helping agents as well. And so for me, I mean, that's just my numbers and what I've experienced. Like that's me, right? No, not a big following at all, not an influencer or even close to it. Very little followers. And in just the first 22 days of rolling with this digital product and rolling with this white label product, have been able to, revenue of $44,000.
So you've done $44,000 in less than a month of getting started with the digital product. How many commission checks would that be in your market to do
That
for?
is so in that timeline of 22 days, your average month is 30 days. It would take me, and I was actually having a conversation with my wife about this. It would probably, in my market, my average price point is around $350,000. I mean, you're talking about to make that income, you're probably talking about 5 sales a month, which per, 5 to 6 sales per month. So you're probably, per client, you're probably spending 20 to 40 hours with them, depending. And I mean, it's not even close.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a big thing about a digital product is not only do you get paid within 48 to 72 hours of selling a digital product
Yeah.
versus, commission check, which can sometimes take up to 90 days to get that commission check. You're getting paid upfront. Now that's extra cash they can sort of now reinvest back into the business. So, I mean, those are phenomenal results. So $44,000 in revenue, working from home, technically working from your laptop. You don't have to deal with showings. You don't have to deal with negotiations. You don't have to deal with buyers, sellers. I mean, what other benefits do you sort of and have you sort of seen of selling that digital product? Because I know I talk to a lot of people, and sometimes they think to themselves that, hey, I'm at EXP. Even if I do bring someone into my tier one revenue share, I believe they get about 2,800 for the first year, and someone in the tier one. And I hear that some of these agents are telling us that, instead of waiting for a whole year to get paid for an agent that does produce and that does cap, I'm getting paid the same amount sort of upfront within a few days.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, you have all of the work throughout the transaction, right? From the actual communication with buyers, sellers, inspectors, lenders. If you have a transaction coordinator, you're still coordinating with your transaction coordinator or your buyer's agents and your showing agents, and you're having, conversations with other agents on the other end of the line, which is almost, the biggest headache of all of them, outside of potentially sometimes your own clients. But in addition to that, you have all of the time that's spent away from what you truly want to do if you have a family, right? I mean, for myself, I have a wife, and a young daughter, another one on the way. And so, within the production side of things, in order to make income and feed the family, I need to be on the road. I need to be gone, or I need to be locked into my office and sitting on the phone and having conversations or negotiating at midnight because we got to meet a deadline or whatever the case may be. This has given me the ability to say, hey, I'm going to pick and choose what clients I want to work with now. I have the option now. I don't need that transaction for income. I can refer it out. I can make 25 to 35% on that rather than 100% and be just fine because I have this alternative source, which also allows me to be home with my family if I choose to do so. It allows me to work from the road where I don't have to be the one in the showings and in the appointments. So it's from a financial standpoint, it's completely opened it up, and I can't wait to see where it goes. But from a personal standpoint, it's also given me my time and location freedom.
yeah. I mean, now, I mean, you can, I mean, you're able to
Okay.
production with the digital product. And you mentioned that you're sort of in the period where you're going to be referring some of your clients out to other folks to keep with, and it's just going to get cut on the commission. Now, what you're
So even with that, right? So any agent that you bring into your downline, you're now financially incentivized for them to close deals, right? So what better way than to give them a deal, right? So anyone who's within your downline and that you sponsor, you can now say, hey, I'm just going to take a referral fee off of this. You can work the transaction. The volume goes under you. The majority of the commission goes to you. I'm just going to have a small referral split, and I'm also going to have the revenue stream from that, from revenue share.
Yeah. So now you're able to provide leads to your folks in your downline from your or in your team. You're getting paid upfront for your digital product, and then in the background you have a compounding vehicle that is working in your favor, which is building your revenue share. I had another agent tell us that building a revenue share is not a sprint, but it's more so a marathon versus, production, which is more so a sprint.
Mm.
So, I know we talked a lot about the good and the pros of having a digital product, but I also want you to maybe shine some light on maybe some downsides or maybe some, positive feedback that you have for us in terms of what we could do better. So, of course, we can improve the product with that sort of feedback, but also because people don't just want to hear the good because no system is ever perfect. So what would you sort of say as some potential downsides, if there are any?
That's a tough question. Because I'm really like I'm truly trying to figure out if there is anything that I would say, hey, this needs to be tweaked or that needs to be tweaked, or if this was a little bit better. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head that there absolutely is nothing that just stands out. I mean, I would have to really think about if there are any. So far, I mean, everything has been so smooth and so easy, and the support team behind it, and working with Arjun and you guys on the calls. I mean, everything has gone perfectly, and hard to argue that within my first month and the results of it. I truly, I mean. I truly can't see anything. And then you take it a step further, and I just joined the inner circle, where it's even more value, even more, you're around bigger thinkers and people who are doing better than you. And it's that next step ahead, right? So getting around as many people as you can. So, I mean, I got nothing for you, to be honest.
Got it. And and okay, I know you have a call coming up in about 7 minutes, so I do want to wrap this up fairly quickly. So, in terms of the future, you came into this program 2 months ago. You've officially launched for a month. You've done 44,000. Where has your mind now shifted? How are you going to go into the rest of the year for 2025 and leading up to the next few years? Are you more so focused on scaling up the digital product? Are you also thinking about building a team? Are you going to be heavily focused on scaling your revenue share? What's your future vision that you have for yourself?
Yeah, so the way that I would love to see it is stay within the real estate transactions, for the clients that I would like to work with, and that I would enjoy working with, right? I have the ability to say yes or no. And for the ones that I say no, it's a referral fee. So even then it's a passive source of income. Um, for me, I feel like the digital product has completely put a spin on what the future could look like. I mean, I'm ramping up even faster than I thought I would with even tomorrow. I have calls with two setters and a closer, to where it's going to allow me to now get out of the day to day, to where
Mhm.
if I wanted to focus on one or the other, I could. If I wanted to just stay in production, I could, because this digital product is going to be running. And of course, I'm going to be implementing everything and helping that team grow. But I also have the ability to completely shift the focus and say, how big can I make this? How big of an opportunity can I make this digital product? And, sitting here today, that's the route I would love to go. Like, I would love to see how big can I make this digital product arm of revenue. And with that comes the agent attraction and the revenue share, right? Because the more agents you get in your world, the more agents you're providing value to, the more likely they are to stick around. So, like, if you sitting here today, that would be the direction that I see for myself in the future, and taking a step away from the transactional side of things to a degree.
Got it. Now, lastly, being inside the program, who would you say this program is really for? Being now that you're sort of inside the program. And number two is for anyone that is sort of on the fence about joining, because we have a lot of people that, consume our emails, they consume interviews like this, they consume a lot of content, but they sort of sit on the sidelines. They don't really take action. So for those sort of people, for folks that are just on the 1 yard line, what would you sort of say to them?
Yeah, so I would say number one for this is for anyone who is looking to grow a downline, real EXP, LPT, wherever you're at. If you're looking to do that, this is the best way to do it because you're providing value to agents. You're having conversations that you otherwise wouldn't have. And if you have any thought of providing value to the agent community as well, whether it's through coaching, mentorship, just giving them tips and tricks on what to do, this is for you as well. If there's a portion of you that's like, hey, I would love to get back to the real estate community, or just help real estate agents, or just in general watch people succeed because this product works, right? And then for anyone who's sitting on the fence, it took me the 5 to 7 hours of watching content, and it was a decision that I had to make for me and for my family to say, hey, this is something I'm going to do. I trust myself to do this. So the question becomes, do you trust yourself enough to implement what needs to be done? Because truly you get everything that you absolutely need. It just comes down to you. So if you feel like there's even a piece of you that can open up an email and open up social media, you have the ability to take this program and make the most of it. So the question becomes, the product the fact is that the product is going to work. The digital product, this program is going to work. It's, are you going to put in the mental thought and the effort to do it, which is, to be honest, very little of. Are you willing to put the effort in because you truly can make it as big as you possibly want? I hope we're having another conversation in 10, 12 months from now and seeing where we're at. And it's going to hold me to it. But I mean, honestly, if this is something that you're considering doing, do it. It took me, I had to jump off the fence as well. And I'm so glad I did.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the way I see is if there's anything that sort of takes you outside of your comfort zone, that's exactly what you need to do because that's where growth lies. So, Nick, thank you so much for jumping on this interview. I know your time is super valuable. You have a call coming up in 3 minutes. I want you to go make money on that call. But more and moreover, you've been a great contributor to the Agent Attraction IO community. I know that's one of the big value adds of our program is the entire community. You're not just interacting with other attractors at your brokerage. I know EXP is really big, so of course a big chunk of our customer base is going to be from EXP, but you're able to interact with other folks from Real or LPT or Epic. So I always see you posting into the community, commenting on other people's posts. So I want to thank you for uplifting everyone else with your success as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm gonna